In Italy, I had a friend who was practically totally deaf. But in that situation, the other senses seemed to kick in. Similarly, in university days, I had a friend who was blind. And the same thing happened there. He told me how he could hear a lamppost coming close. But the one who couldn't hear had ways and means of compensating. He had to be able to see my mouth. He would lip read, and he would also put his fingers there on my throat, for the vibrations would come through. In the case of my blind friend, because he couldn't see a thing, he had a fantastic memory. And also, after one syllable, he knew exactly who was before him. We, my friends, think we have all the faculties, but we might be the handicapped ones. We are handicapped by the fact that we can't hear, because we're letting too many messages come into our brain. Like a computer, it gets overloaded, tired, and cannot retain. The brain does the same. In the purely monastic life, because there's nothing coming in, all the interior senses become very sharpened. A book in complete solitude and unbroken silence has a huge effect. A passage can draw tears. The interior senses are sharpened. And when few words come in, a word can change a day and indeed a history. Now, there are problems with regard to our use of communication. Right now, there is too much communication going on, but it is superficial. And friends out there are not at all friends, whereas immediate friends are being neglected. I want to zoom into a few concrete issues. They apply both in the monastic life and in family life. In the monastic life, a superior who shows by what he does and what he attends that he's more interested actually in things outside the community than his own is in the same situation as the father of a family who has a hobby, and that hobby takes over. Or the habit of going to the pub with the friends over the weekend and not being with his wife and family. It's the same problem. And I've talked to, for instance, girls who find that their boyfriend really no longer engages on a deep level because the computer or the screen has taken over. Now, it can be devastating when a girl or a wife finds that the partner or the husband is actually going to all kinds of strange things. Do you think that they don't pick it up? The first duty of a father, a husband, even actually a faithful boyfriend, is to give total attention to the one that they want to give their life to. But, and it's a big but, that's not enough either. For communication on this planet, especially in the Western world, the civilized world, is fundamentally flawed. And it's not just either because of high tech. Look at what's going on. There is a problem in the human psyche which is prevalent. How many know how to listen? Listening is done with the ear. And when the mouth is still open in this position, there is a danger that the ear will not be functioning. Now that applies both in family life, in boyfriend-girlfriend life, and in a community life. superior or amongst the brethren. Short fuses can actually happen. Remember seeing one glorious scene one time in chapter when one of the brethren got up, gave an almighty wallop to the brother next to him, and sat down as though nothing had happened. Temperatures. But also, with regard to, for instance, a scenario which is not necessarily absent, where the community has to do with a superior who is physically deaf. What does the deaf person do? Bit by bit, because the deaf person has a struggle to avoid embarrassment, bit by bit, not straight away, a habit comes of no longer listening. It will be obstructed by an unstoppable flow of words. Emission, emission, emission. Result. Things are not known about, are not sorted, because information was not getting through. But it can be your case as well, my friends. If you're talkative and over-talkative, you're blocking out information. The listener knows how to be humble enough not to have to teach. A good conversation is actually an exchange. When that happens, the sufficient communication of information happens and is responded to. When handling souls, this question is fundamental. As in the case of a doctor, so in the case of the spiritual doctor. Symptoms betray diseases. Therefore, one has to pick up, be attentive to, and be sufficiently humble to wait until the goods are delivered. It applies to each one of you too, whether married, hoping to be married, or just in the workplace or the coffee shop. Exchange is a whole art, and it seems it's not very widespread anymore. And how many actually, now when they're together, after a few minutes, share something on the phone? Can't they, for a few minutes, look each other in the eyes and listen to their mystery? The art of telling a story. In university days, and it's not that long ago. Last time I finished in 1999 in Rome. We still had coffee breaks without this stuff there. Oh, art! Meeting the mystery of all these lovely people from all over the world. Now, students of high caliber no longer are able to engage and cultivate the joy of being on earth with other human beings directly. My friends, there is another problem, and I finish with this. Look next time at one specific issue. Do you cut across? Because if you do, you too are part of the problem. Butting in is rude. Butting in is not allowing the other person to open up and express himself. The whole art of just in passive mode, not having either to lose one's calm while a controversial point is coming up, is not that frequent either. The truth is serene. And after one has listened, one can just burst the bubble by one accurate word, because the point in question has not been fully seen. Do you know that recently our new Holy Father dared, against the advice of the cardinals, to go to the university in Rome, Sapienza, and confront in a public debate one of the greatest atheists of modern time. And he burst his bubble with the correct word, in complete calm and possession of self.
Amen.